Welcome to the September edition of Cornerstone Connect. We have a special show planned just for you. Paul Bixler is in the house, and as he comes with big news about Origins. I can't wait to hear what he has to say. And as always, we open letters from the mailbag and an exclusive sneak peek of some of the programs airing this month only on Cornerstone Television. Stay tuned. I have just one question for you. Have you received your newsletter in the mail? If not, please give us a call at 888-665-4483 or go to the web at www.ctvn.org. We love to stay connected. And speaking of connected, thank you to those of you who wrote into us or emailed. I just want to reflect on some of these. This is from Carol in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. She is a monthly donor to our station. Thank you, Carol, so much. She enjoys a lot of our programs, and she said thanks and a prayer, God's blessing upon everyone involved in the Cornerstone family. Carol, thank you so much. Oh, look here, we have from Michael in Frostburg, Maryland. Hoot hoot for Maryland. Please keep at home on air. Arlene rocks, and he loves Tom's commercials. He says they're epic, or fire, as the kids say. Michael, thank you so much for your encouragement. And this is from Virginia in 84 PA. Hard questions, pastors, are a blessing to herself and many others. And here is Carol from Natrona Heights. She loved the Serenity Prayer and thanks us for all the love and prayers for their employees and their family. So thank you so much, Carol, for writing in. And this is from one of our friends in Pittsburgh. God bless you as you continue to lift up the Lord in your programming and the prayers of many, including for 46 years they've been watching. Well, thank you so much for writing in. You know, it's because of you that we do what we do, and without your love and support, we couldn't even do it. So thank you so much. This is from one of our friends in Altoona. My prayers go out to all of you wonderful people at Cornerstone who do so much for all of your listeners. I pray for all of you there, and I can't thank you enough for the wonderful things you do and the prayers. I love the wonderful programs and great preachers. Well, thank you for this encouragement. We love to be here for our viewing audience. This comes from Etta in Pittsburgh. She said, I watch CTVN a lot. Their programs are very helpful, and I love watching Dashing Dish and Arlene. She enjoys cooking. Well, Etta, we are so glad that you are watching and that we are able to be here for you. This is comes from Marcia from Three Springs, Pennsylvania. Thank you for all you do. We enjoy many of your programs. And this is from Karen in Katanning. Thank you for your ministry. I'm telling you, if it was not for you who labor with us to get the good news of the gospel out, we wouldn't be able to do this. So thank you. This is from Jan in North Apollo, and she is so thankful for Pastor Buck Schaefer. She must be watching our other channel, Faith and Family. And then last, we have an Origins praise, that it's a great program, and this comes from Dave. So we just thank each and every one of you for being a part of Cornerstone Television Network. And coming up now, we have Paul Bixler. He stops by with some huge news about Origins. We are so excited to have the producer of Origins with us this month. Paul Bixler, welcome to Cornerstone Connect.
Yeah, thank you very much. And it's exciting. It's an exciting month for Origins. I mean, this is our 40th anniversary. It's hard to believe. This show started back in 1985.
Wow.
And my father was a member of the local Creation Fellowship here in Pittsburgh with people like from Gulf Research and Carnegie Mellon and U.S. Steel and, Westinghouse. That was big back then. And they started this international conference on creationism. And then our general manager at the time, David Kelton, was always wanting us to do local Christian television. So he said, how about we do a show in creation? So that's what that show started in 1985 with humble beginnings. It's in the newsletter this month for people to see. It had elaborate, like all this kind of laboratory kind of thing. And then my father passed away. He hosted that show for 14 years. And after that, our family decided that Origins was really important. And then I took over as the producer behind the scenes. And we went to visit Don Chapman because we felt like he should be the host. And he thought he was in trouble at the church at Cornerstone Ministries. We asked him to host the show, and his jaw just about dropped. He thought he was in trouble, like he did something wrong because like Norma Bixler and Paul Bixler coming to see him. But he hosted his show, and he brought it to a new level.
Wow.
So this month, we are running the first guest that was ever on Origins, Dr. Jerry Bergman, is on with Ray on the regular shows. And then I've been spending a lot of times looking through all the archives because people have written in to us and called and said, why can't we run old shows with Russ Bixler and Don Chapman? Because it's hard to believe that Ray Heipel's been the host for 9 years already.
Incredible.
And so then we went through and I talked to the program manager and I said, could we have some extra time slots in the month of September? So, you can see here September 5th and 12th and 6th and 17th and 27th. And we're running these, what we're calling the Origins Classics. So we have a segment with, that Russ would do, and then Don Chapman would do, and then some modern day things that are happening too in the month. So that's what we've been working on, and it's an exciting month. It's just hard to believe. I couldn't believe it was 40 years. Last year, it just hit me. So as the viewers, if they've watched Cornerstone Television, they've seen the montage promos that we've run, showing videos from the past. And it just ends up with a big 40th anniversary logo, and there's fireworks going off and all that sort of thing.
It's amazing, Paul. So tell me, out of all these years, the heartbeat behind Origins. Why do our viewers need to tune in and watch?
Origins was one of the first shows that highlighted creation because we were the hub of creation, the International Conference on Creationism, and that sort of thing. And we did, we would bring people from all over the world here. So we were kind of like, this is such an important thing to be able to explain our world the book of Genesis. Basically, most people just throw that out because they can't understand how God could create the earth and, everything, the universe and everything in 6 days and rested on the seventh. So anyway, academia basically treats evolution like it's fact. And basically the same information is available to creationists as it is for evolutionists. So there's so many things like soft tissue and dinosaur bones. Right. Why would you find soft tissue and dinosaur bones that are supposedly 80 million years old? Correct. Why does genetics show that we've only been around on the earth for, humankind has only been around for like 6,000, 7,000 years? There's so much data today but professors just keep on teaching it. But now they have this third way of evolution that they're trying to do because there's so much information available now. Yeah. So I'm saying a lot here really quickly, but we're coming up on a segment that the editor has put in, and it's one of the first segments with my dad and Dr. Jerry Bergman. Mm-hmm. He was the first guest we had on. And so Rob's going to show some of that open, which is, we were using really ancient tools compared to what we have today,
It's incredible.
So I'm saying a lot here really quick, but
and it's wonderful. And if you have never caught Origins, I encourage you to look it up. find out when these are playing. They'll be in our newsletter. But you need to see the Bible become life, and science actually proves the Bible to be true. Stay tuned.
I got to know Russ Bixler indirectly. He contacted me when I was still involved in various activities. I did a lot of speaking, both when I was at Bowling Green State University and afterwards. There wasn't that many creationists who were active in this work, and so I ended up with a lot of events that I spoke at. And therefore, evidently, one of my publications, I had quite a few publications back then, evidently he saw them and decided to bring me in for the first speaker in this area.
So did you know when he called you that you were going to be on the premiere episode of Origins Television?
No, I didn't. He just flew me in and did the show and went home.
Welcome to this edition of Origins. Hello, I'm your host, Russ Bixler, and on this program we deal with the creation-evolution controversy. Our guest today is Dr. Jerry Bergman of Northwest College in Ohio, and he has 2 earned doctorates in research methodology and in biology. Jerry, it's good to have you with us today here on Origins.
Thank you.
You would have thought that genetics would have killed and buried the theory of evolution once and for all. Mm-hmm. But many scientists have held on to it in spite of that.
Right. And that's because I think they have an enormous faith in the theory. And the mechanism may be replaced. In fact, all the details may be replaced. But I think the theory itself, the end belief of evolution, will be held intact. Partially because evolution it's what they call a closed belief structure, where it's hard to attack it, because no matter how you attack it, they can respond by words and by logic by showing, well, this isn't a problem because of this. And so it doesn't matter to a large degree what the evidence is. The facts are, it's a closed belief structure that it can explain, quote, everything, which is why many scientists feel that evolution is a problem now, because evolution explains everything and yet explains nothing. In other words, well, why does a certain animal have certain traits? Well, they evolved that way. But that doesn't explain why they have these traits. Well, you can say, well, natural selection selected these traits. Well, that doesn't explain it either. It doesn't explain the origin of these traits. It doesn't explain how they were produced the way they are. It, in many ways, natural selection is a word. It's a word we say, well, it evolved that way. Natural selection selected it. So how do we know natural selection selected it? Well, it has to, because there it is. And that's how natural selection works. And so it's what they call a closed system, which it's very hard to attack. It's a belief structure, is what it is. And I found in discussing these things with my colleagues, no matter what evidence you have, they just don't want to accept the other alternative, which indeed, there's a God who made us, and God isn't ultimately responsible for us the way we are.
When you partner with Cornerstone Television this month, be sure to request this stunning Bible study tool. You'll love the Doodle Devotional, an 8-week devotional study designed to give you a new way to interact with Scripture and deepen your commitment to God. Inside its pages, author, artist, and painter Anthony Thaxton shares his wonderful God-given artistic gifts alongside memorable Scripture verses and thoughtful daily devotionals. This isn't just a one-sided artistic journey, but one where the reader can create their own doodles and artistic drawings with helpful prompts from Anthony. The Doodle Devotional is for everyone who wants to marry their love of Scripture with visual art and expression, from the serious artist to the amateur doodler. To request your copy, call us at 888-665-4483 or give at ctvn.org/donate. Thank you for your generosity. We love being your home for Christian television.
You know, if it wasn't for you and your generosity toward our network, we would not be able to produce life-giving, life-changing television. So thank you to each and every one of you who has partnered with us. You know, coming up next, we have a tease from the Glory Hour. And this is a September preview, and I'm so excited for what God has put on Sydney's heart and to bring to the table. You know, God has always desired to use Cornerstone as a hub, and I see that happening through the Glory Hour and several of our other programs to keep you in the know on what is happening locally and around the world as well. But we just want to, you know, invite you to watch Glory Hour at the different times it is, or go to YouTube. You can watch these on demand. It's so important for us to make our content available to you and to your friends. Please feel free to share that as well with others. Well, stay tuned for this brief little snippet of the Glory Hour.
Hey family, I just want to say from the bottom of my heart a big thank you to all of you who generously support Cornerstone Television Network. If it wasn't for you and your giving and your financial contributions, we couldn't do the Glory Hour, and we wouldn't be able to bring you culturally relevant conversations from a spiritual perspective. And that's what the Glory Hour is purposed to do, to bring that right into your living room, right into your home, so we can uplift your spirit and have you be all that God has created you to be. And you know, in the Glory Hour, the full-length episodes are on our YouTube channel, Cornerstone Television Network's YouTube channel. So be sure to subscribe and to follow. We have over 105,000 subscribers, and so you'll always get notifications of new content that is being uploaded, and alerts and notifications when new episodes are coming out, because they first hit YouTube, so you get the whole exclusive long-form interviews and conversations with such incredible guests. And speaking of such incredible guests, I'm super excited for what we have on this month in September for you on the Glory Hour that wants you to check it out. So there is an event that's coming that's called an American Revival on Kelly Farm. And I had the wonderful opportunity to talk to some of the headliners. And they're gonna be here in the Pittsburgh area in Sarver, PA on September 20th. So we wanna invite you, if you're in Pittsburgh or wherever you're watching from, come out and come join. We're gonna be there as Cornerstone Television Network. I'm an MC and a speaker, and I had an amazing time talking to 4 of the headliners. And I wanna give you a little sneak peek of a little bit about their story and their journey, because I think it's really going to bless you. One of them, his name is Kelly K. Now, he was a former rock band tour manager who turned into an evangelist, and he shared with me his whole journey with Jesus after a near-death experience. And y'all, when I mean near-death, I mean he brushed with it, and it's amazing how God is using him now all over the world to bring people to Jesus. So you definitely want to listen and check out Kelly K's interview. Also, another young woman, I had the wonderful opportunity to have a conversation with Olivia Lane. She's a former country singer and former atheist who surrendered her life to Jesus. Now listen to this. It was during a moment when she was having a therapy appointment. And from that moment where she was in a dark place and dealing with a lot of things internally and just trying to figure out her life and asking these questions of why, and having some, you know, different spiritual encounters when she was living in LA and trying to figure out Jesus and if it's real and all that, she literally had a moment where God turned it all around, and she went from being a country music star to one of her songs, you probably heard if you watched The Chosen, was part of the hit series. It was called The Woman at the Well, and it was about her own personal journey and story. So that is Olivia Lane. And then also got a chance to interview Jordan St. Cyr, and he was a former construction worker in Canada, and then had a moment with Jesus, and now he's an emerging and popular voice in Christian music. It's so amazing what God to do. And finally, I had an opportunity to interview and have a conversation with Megan Woods, and she has the hit viral song that went wild on social media called The Truth. And it's all about one of the darkest seasons in her life, that she uses her music to infuse others with hope. So I really hope that you go to Cornerstone Television Network's YouTube channel, that you check out all the interviews and the conversations. I know they're gonna bless you. And also want to invite you once again to join us on September 20th on American Revival on Kelly Farm, Sarver, PA. They're gonna be there, I'm gonna be there. There's also so many others, and churches and people and believers from all over coming together. We're gonna believe for a move of God. Last year, 90 people came to Jesus, and we were baptizing people in cow troughs. It doesn't get any better than that. And I want you to be there, because it's really gonna bless you and your family. So once again, I love you, family. Thank you for your support and all you do to make the Glory Hour possible.
Well, that sounds like an absolutely powerful event to be a part of, but I love the things that Sydney addressed. You know, she said, you know, about the American revival, and we want that. We want that for ourselves. We want that for you. Revival is a very individual thing, but she talked about redemption of life with the one gentleman's story. God desires to redeem our life. We are never too far gone. She talked about how the Holy Spirit revealing himself in that moment of openness to one of the ladies. And how about that divine encounter with Jesus? Do you know that God desires for each of us to have those moments where we're sitting, he's revealing, and we're having a divine moment with the Lord? He so desires that for you. And then music that shines in the darkness. Oh my goodness, this event is going to be wonderful, as well as tune into the Glory Hour. And then coming up next, we have Dashing Dish with sheet pan chicken sausage, a recipe you're not going to want to miss.
Today we're going to start with my sister Emily making a sheet pan chicken sausage and veggie recipe. So I love sheet pan meals. Do you love sheet pan?
It's easy, simple.
I feel like they're the best because you can throw everything on something, and if you use parchment paper, you don't even have to really clean up your dishes after. So
nice.
What is your favorite kind of dinner to make?
When you give me a meal?
Oh.
Yeah, those are the easiest. Other than that, if I'm not so lucky to receive a Dashing Dish meal, I like tacos because they're easy. And everybody loves them, and usually we have leftovers, which is great.
Yeah.
So tacos are our quick go-to. I also love breakfast for dinner.
Oh,
Those
me
are
too.
really easy. That's really easy, and everybody loves it as well.
Me too. For this recipe, you'll need 2 cups of baby potatoes, 2 medium bell peppers, 1 pound of smoked sausage, a 1/4 cup of avocado oil, 1 teaspoon of Italian seasoning, a teaspoon of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of salt, a 1/4 cup of grated Parmesan cheese, and 1½ cups of cherry tomatoes. So we're gonna start by just cutting up our sausage. You can use any kind of sausage that you like. I do like to get organic if I can find it. When it comes to meat, I specifically like organic, and also if it's something like sausage, if you can find nitrate-free, that's really good. Just because sometimes with meats that have been made ahead of time, they do add things like nitrates, which can be harmful to your health. So I do just try and pick the best option when it comes to animal protein. So we're gonna cut these up, and you just wanna try and make everything kind of even sized with the sausage. When you're doing a sheet pan meal, that really is the key, is just get everything as close to the same size as possible. Now, you don't have to cut the bell peppers as small as these sausages, but just maybe cut them into smaller dicing and just try and make them all even size. And the reason for that is they'll all cook separately at different times, all on the same sheet pan, if you're cutting them in different sizes. And you don't want that because then you'll have some veggies that are hard, some that are way too mushy. So you just want to try and get everything pretty uniform.
We're gonna put them on here?
Yep, and we'll just throw it all onto a sheet pan. What I like to do is I like to line my sheet pan with parchment paper, and that way you can just pick it all up and throw it in the trash. You don't even have to wash your pan afterwards.
That's why I like 1 sheet pan meals, just because it's less dishes, less cleanup.
Yeah, exactly.
The oven does the work.
Yep.
It's easy.
Exactly. And that's the beauty of sheet pan meals, is they're really fast, and you can kind of just pick and choose in your family who will eat what. So if you have picky eaters like I do, you can just say, okay, you're not gonna get these and you're gonna get this. And same thing with our potatoes here. I'm just cutting everything so that it's about the same size. So for my bigger potatoes, I'm gonna cut them into 4s. And then my smaller potatoes, you just cut them in half. So then for our seasonings, I'll have you measure out 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of Italian seasoning, and a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And then we're just gonna kind of sprinkle it over the whole thing. Just kind of as even as you can get it. And then a 1/4 cup of oil. So I'm using avocado oil. What I like about avocado oil, is that you can cook it at a much higher temperature. So we just put all the seasoning and the oil over all the vegetables and the meat. And then we're gonna top it with a 1/4 cup of Parmesan cheese. And this is gonna get really crispy and delicious when it roasts in the oven.
That's the secret ingredient right there.
Yes. And then an optional ingredient in this recipe is tomatoes. Now, I personally don't like tomatoes on sheet pan meals.
You don't?
No, because they get a little too tender for me.
Okay.
I like crispier tomatoes, not softer.
Yeah.
So for me, I don't like tomatoes. So I made this optional, kind of because of my own preference.
We're gonna add a few.
Well, not yet. So what you'll want to do is you'll want to roast it, and halfway through the roasting time, add your tomatoes. They don't need as much time as these heartier vegetables. So you really only need about 15 minutes for the tomatoes, so add those halfway through. But we're gonna roast this 400 degrees for 30 to 35 minutes.
You're one of Cornerstone TV's best donors. You've chosen to support its mission of spreading the gospel through Christian media and its Cornerstone Cares outreach. You love the fact that 10 cents on every dollar goes to feed the hungry, clothe the poor, and more. Problem is, sometimes you forget to send in your pledge. And before you know it, 1 month becomes 2 months, or even 4. There has to be a better way. Don't fixate, automate, and simplify your giving with Easy Pledge. One simple decision can replace 12 choices each year. When you give to Cornerstone TV, sign up to have your monthly gift automated by calling 888-665-4483 or choosing recurring giving online at ctvn.org/donate. Life just got easier, knowing that your gifts to spread the gospel can be more predictable, even when the rest of life isn't. Well done, my friend.
Well, I sure hope you enjoyed our time together. I know I always enjoy learning about what's happening here at Cornerstone Television and being able to just hear the different stories and what's happening around locally and around the world. Thank you again so much for being such a big part of what God is doing in and through Cornerstone Television. I just want to remind you that coming up on September 25th, you have the opportunity to be a Hard Questions live studio audience and to meet those pastors. They're going to be here at 6:30 p.m. and we would love for you to RSVP. So if you could go to ctvn.org/audience and get your reservation in so that way we can hang out with you. But we just want to say thank you. You know, I love that we bring to the table food and spiritual food. And that food happens to be Katie Farrell's recipe this month on cottage cheese egg bites, which I think would be absolutely delicious, especially with school going on. You know, the kids need something quick to eat in the morning. That would be a wonderful and healthy breakfast. But just know how much that we love you here at Cornerstone. And as always, we are not ashamed of the gospel. If you read an article by Tom Hollis, Romans 1:16, that is who we are here at Cornerstone. We're going to continue to declare the goodness of God, and we can't thank you enough for being a part and for giving us that voice to do so.